Yo! Hi guys, welcome to the next episode in our Tinyhawk 2 freestyle upgrade series. We're looking at, obviously, right now our full loaded upgraded version and our original untouched stock version. There's quite a lot of difference between these two now. We've come a long way. We've done a lot of upgrades to this little puppy, and we've done it for different reasons. Some of these upgrades, well actually, some upgrades are about performance, but all of the upgrades are about learning the skills that we need to do FPV and progress onto the bigger, more powerful quads. And by learning the lessons that we have on this little puppy, it's saved us a lot of money, because it's a lot more expensive learning lessons with the bigger quads and a lot more painful. So we've done lots of this. We've learned how to change a motor, we've learned how to put the XT30 battery lead on, we've learned how to put antennas on, we've learned how to put a lollipop antenna on, a UFL plug, we've learned how to do the RX receiver, and we've learned how to do a VTX transmitter, we've learned how to put cameras on and some LEDs on, and then just the sundries, the little landing pads and upstands and stuff. It's just given us lots of different skills, soldering skills, for us to be able to take on the challenge of the bigger stuff that we all want to progress to. Well, most of us want to progress to. So now we're limited, and our next changes are going to start to really lean us away from what is a Tinyhawk 2 freestyle, because in truth there's only so far this can take us. Now the limitations that we have with this one now is obviously it's a 2S, we can't go any bigger with this board. This board has, on this frame, is without doing an adaptation plate, this is set out for this board. It's very specific. This has got 3 bolt motors on this frame, so we're limited on our choice of motors. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a frame swap, and in doing the frame swap, that's going to give us some other options. It's going to give us options of different motors, because we're going to change the frame to a 4 bolt frame configuration for the motors, and the frame is going to give us more options on the flight controller. Now when we do this frame swap, we're going to change the motors at the same time, so the only thing that's going to be left original then is going to be the all-in-one flight controller and ESC that came with the Tinyhawk 2. We're going to do all of the other changes that we've done on this to our new frame. We're going to have the different VTX, we're going to have the crossfire, we're going to have the XT30 and lollipop, different camera, but, and then we're going to have the, like I say, the different motors. So this is the frame that we're going to go with. This is the Armattan tadpole. I love Armattan. I've got the Armattan Badger. I did a build of that. If you haven't seen it, that's down in the link below. This little puppy, it's like all of his other stuff, it's lifetime guarantee, and you know, who doesn't like a lifetime guarantee? It makes it a little bit more expensive, but in my mind it's worth it. So this is the frame that I've chosen. You could have gone for the micro heli, and the other frame that I looked at was this puppy, and I got off Banggood. This one, it's got a lot of space in there, but it was a lot heavier. This is only 17 grams before the TPU parts. This is heavier than this, even with all the TPU parts. Might do something else with this at a later date. Maybe do like a little HD mini drone. And then Beta FPV, they make a very lightweight little frame as well. But this is what I went with because I love Armattan, and this is a sick little frame. As you can see, I've covered it in TPU bling loud parts. I've covered it in loud parts just because finding these when you crash them, I've crashed this in cornfields and finding it was not fun. So this one, I've had lots of TPU parts made by Lee at 3D Aqua. I'll link to Lee in the description below, and I might do some links to some Thingiverse parts, but most of these parts are from Lee. Now this frame's got 4 bolt configuration for the motors, so we're going to go to these T motor 1103, and they're basically the same, but we've just gone up 1000 kV. So this has 7000 kV 1103s, and this is an 8000. Now T-Motor is a very good make. I'll just zoom in on that little puppy. It's a nice motor. It's a nice motor and it's going to do us fantastic. Now, with this size motor, it can handle more than 2S. Now, as I said, our board can't handle more than 2S. But after we've done this conversion, our next conversion will be the board. Now, when you buy this frame, you can have an option to buy an adapter plate made of carbon. And this adapter plate is for a toothpick 26mm AOI, and that would bolt inside like so and allow you to put a toothpick all-in-one float controller on there. And then once you put the toothpick all-in-one float controller on there, then you can go, you know, up to 4S. So that's something that we will do next. Now, I think if you can imagine this little frame with 4S, I mean that's quite a chunk. That would be some powerful little mini shredding. But so I bought this just for our future, for what we'll do next. But in the meantime, because I wanted to run this frame with this flight controller, I had to get an adapter plate made by Lee. So again, contact Lee if you want to do this exact configuration, or get your own one made up. Could have got it done out of carbon fibre. I did consider making one, but for now, just to get on, Lee made me one. He made me a few of these, hard and soft ones. So I've made an adapter plate that's going to allow us to take it from our standard, because I'm going to keep this one as it is right now for us to use as a comparison, and we're going to take the flight controller out of our standard one, remove the VTX and antennas and bits and pieces again, and that's going to go and sit nicely inside here. We're going to go, as I said, to the same lollipop, same VTX as what we've already upgraded to, the Nano, Eachine Nano V2, so we bought another one of those. We've got the foxeer lollipop, and what we're also going to do is go to this foxeer toothless 2 Nano. Now this has got a 1/2 inch starlight sensor. This one had the 1 1/8, so this actually had a bigger sensor in the run cam. Baby ratel? No? Yeah, run cam. Caddx baby ratel 2. So this has got the Caddx baby ratel 2, which really liked it, but it had those plugs on the back which stopped me being able to do complete freedom of articulation. So I thought we'd go for this foxeer toothless 2 Nano with the 1/2 inch starlight sensor, which has no restrictions on the back. Same again, I've got to change the plug, which is a bit annoying, but not a problem. This time I'm not going to mess about with crimping little mini PH2 connectors. I'm just going to solder the plug onto the wires and shift on. But this frame has got these little aluminium front and back blocks protect the camera, and with this TPU over the front, it's pretty bulletproof there, so we'll be able to fly straight into a wall and not damage our camera. I chamfered the edges off of this frame myself with a little mini diamond file that actually came with this one's bigger brother, the Badger, when I bought it, the Badger frame kit. And it's gonna be a little ripper, I think. So what I'm going to do now then is I'm going to strip down the original tinyhawk. We're going to take this flight controller out, and I'm going to attach it into here, attach all the VTX, and we're going to see what we think of it after we've done it with these new motors and the new frame. So I'm going to crack on. Okay, so I stripped the board off, I've taken off the VTX, I've taken off all the antennas and the bits and pieces, and then what we've done is we've passed some bolts through the bottom of our TPU adapter plate, some plastic nuts holding those bolts tight to the TPU part, and then some rubber grommets in between. and that's just loosely sat on there right now to give us our positioning. And obviously we'll put some nuts onto that to hold that in place once we're happy. So first of all, I'm going to just do some easy bits. We can sort of see like our VTX antenna UFL plug wants to be there, so that's probably where we'll end up putting our VTX, like so, and we're attaching our VTX here and here. So pretty sold on that. And then the crossfire is probably going to be somewhere at the front here, maybe. Don't think we're going to have room for underneath. So because I want to see what space we've got everywhere, the next thing we're going to do is attach the camera. Now this Foxeer Toothless Nano 2 comes with a control board, which we've seen before, which will plug in here. Now the plug that's on here is not the correct one for our board, for our camera. So here's the correct plug with the wires. Now it's not unusual, as we can see here, that you'll get a ground being shared. So the plug for the control board is sharing the ground with the plug for the camera, power and ground. So what I'm going to do is heat that up, disconnect that, cut this and fit this in to there instead, twist it all back up and mount our camera in place so we can see how much space we've got everywhere to then be putting our Crossfire Nano RX receiver in. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is tin these. So let's just get some flux on there. Okay, I'm not going to fix the camera. It's just giving us an idea of what room we've got. And we put the top plate on. You can see we've got quite a lot of room under there still, which is a good thing. The only thing we will have to be mindful of is it going to cause vibrations on our gyro. Now, one of the things about the Tinyhawk 2 freestyle frame was it was pretty noisy on a resonance level, so I'm hoping that this is not going to be as bad. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is connect up our Crossfire Nano. Okay, so that's our wires done, ready for the Crossfire RX. So we've got our TX, RX, our ground, and our 5V power. That's going to sit in there like that. So, and as I'm going to have the Crossfire this end, so I've taken the cables underneath. We'll twist them off. And then that will sit around there and go into our Crossfire. So before we do that, because as you see when this wraps around here like this, we're going to be going, this is where our VTX is connecting up here and here. This is our 5 volt and our ground, and this is our TX and our video. So I'm just going to remove the wires from our VTX here first of all, and then I'm going to reattach them. After I've connected the ones I want to the board. Now we don't need all of these wires. We're only going to want our video here, our power supply and ground here, and our RX, which will become our smart audio. So these two here, this is a power out, so if we're going to power our camera from this board, we would use that, but we're not going to do that. So we will disconnect those, but disconnect all of these, then I'll connect them to our board. Then we can sit our board back in again and look at lengths that we're going to have to connect to our crossfire and to our VTX when it's on the board. Now, because it's such a small build, that's why this is so finicky, and it's worth us doing it this way around, because we're going to work all of this out, and then we're going to set about our motors, and maybe motors with LEDs. I haven't made up my mind yet. I've got the LEDs. So let's remove these. Now, a little tip. Whenever we're doing stuff that is pre-soldered by somebody else, by the factory, what you're going to find is that it's lead free and the solder's been used, and so by adding a little bit of flux, it just livens it back up, and it allows us to have less problems when it comes to just taking it off. Because sometimes, even with a good tip, what you'll find is that it just doesn't transfer and just doesn't want to come off. And you can even find that with your own. So maybe you're dancing around with a solder joint too much, and suddenly, even with a good tip, you're finding it's unresponsive. Putting a bit of flux on there, liquid flux I use, and I use the rosin as well, but you'll find that you can reactivate it, and it'll be a little bit more playful for you. Okay, so we've got our front motors in position, but before we're going to solder up our motor cables on the front, I've reattached the back part with the VTX antenna. I've zip tied the XT30 cable back there in case we get a battery eject, and then I'm putting it up through here at the moment, and it will be pinched by our back plate. Now that might interfere with our VTX, I don't know yet, as in cause some interference. So I'm going to do it for the second, allowing that I might change the position of that, but right now that works quite well if that's pinched, because it keeps it all out the way and we're not going to get our XT30 battery cable in our props. Right, so now then we're going to just reconnect our video and our RX first of all. Okay, so now all we've really got left to do is our crossfire. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just fix our front with the camera in so we can really see exactly how much space we've got. But what we just do now, just before we go any further, is we just do a quick check to this point with the smoke stopper. All good. Right, so let's chuck that front cage and camera on. Okay, so going for the mayfly approach here. I don't know whether I'm going to change that or not. So zip ties across the bottom of the frame, and then heat shrink holding the antenna to each of these zip ties here. I've done them quite flappy. Not my normal approach, but if I don't like it, I'll change it, because this little sled thing, it just really wasn't working for me. So I'm going to leave that. I've chopped off the front of this adapter plate. It was completely unnecessary for what I wanted to do. And then I've sent a longer bolt up through with a couple of bolts, spacers, plastic ones, so I can make a little sled here. And this little sled is what's going to hold our crossfire. I've soldered on the crossfire wires there. Again, if you want to see any of this, there's the other videos of how to attach crossfire, how to do the VTX, how to do all of the other stuff other than what I'm actually doing today, which is the frame swap. So now what I'm going to do is heat shrink this crossfire to this sled and then attach the sled. So I'm just bringing this antenna over so I can still get access to the wind button. This is a brand new crossfire micro nano RX, so when I switch this on for the first time, it'll go into bind instantly, so I don't have to worry about pressing that first off, but at a later date I'm going to want to get to that maybe. So that's a little bit big. Let's go for that. Okay, so I've taken the XT30 out around the side here. I've taken it away from the antenna. I thought it was going to be trouble, and when I'm just checking the picture, there was interference there. I've also slid the VTX right the way back as far as I can get it, and I've taken the cables here and pushed them all the way from the crossfire and underneath the VTX as well. Also, I had the crossfire cables coming from the other side and round, so I've changed that. I've shortened them, and they are coming straight from this side and into the crossfire here and onto the sled, and the camera cables here nicely out of the way. And I found that looking through the goggles, that was my best signal there with no interference, so I'm pleased with that now. So we're ready to go. We'll get her outside and see how she performs. Nice. Okay, let's get this cracked in with the 600 milliamp. Getting 4 minutes freestyle with the 720 milliamp GMB battery. Loving this camera, picture's really good. Motors are smooth. Combination of these motors with the frame geometry, really getting nice flight characteristics. She is a little ripper. I love it. Definite upgrade. I think even if you haven't done all the other upgrades, if you were to just change to this frame and these motors, you would really notice the difference massively. You'd be lighter too. I mean, obviously this has got extra weight on it from all the TPU parts, the crossfire, the different VTX, the lollipop. Now the toothless camera as well, I think is 3.5 grams. Might have been 5 grams actually. I have to check that one. So we're basically getting a 3-minute flight. Yeah. 3-minute flight from the 600. These aren't brand new batteries, and we were clearing just getting 4 minutes. 4 minutes from the 720. Little ripper. Very pleased, very happy. Like the camera, like the motors, like the frame geometry. Nice job. Little ripper. I think it flies better. Definitely think that flies better. I did get the flight times wrong because it sat there for a little bit before we took off. So with that 720 milliamp, really you're getting about 3.5 minutes if you're doing freestyle. With this 600, you're looking more about the 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 45. But these aren't brand new batteries. I haven't tried it with some abused batteries, and my batteries do get abused if I'm honest. What you're seeing through that camera is not as good in the DVR as what I'm seeing through the goggles. Through the goggles it was way better. So overall this has been a total success. I'm really pleased with it. It flew so well that I'm almost don't want to change the flight controller and take this to the next level, but of course that's what we're gonna do. So I hope that was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Check this frame out, check that conversion out, have a little go yourself. I don't think you'll be regretting it. And to be honest, even if you haven't done any of the other upgrades that I've done, if you changed to this frame with these motors, with none of the upgrades, it'd be even lighter and you would really really notice a difference on the flight performance then. So give it a go. As always, if it helps you at all, if you liked it, please hit that like button, or even better, subscribe, hit a comment. It really all helps me with the algorithm, and obviously I don't get paid for these videos or sponsored or given anything for free, especially with this Tiny Hawk range. I've done this literally to give everybody a little bit of a helping hand and help people not make all the same mistakes that I did. So thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Nice one.